Hey, welcome back, everyone. As a veteran or a first responder, when you leave this career, you'll walk into a room and people will already think that they know who you are. They might expect you to be arrogant. They might expect you to have attitude. They might expect you to walk in carrying authority and ego like it's armor. Maybe part of you wants to do that. Because for years, that self-confidence is what keeps you and your teams alive. That confidence helps you lead. That confidence helps you handle pressures most people will never understand. But there's a difference between confidence and needing everyone else to recognize it. The strongest people never have to announce how capable they are. They don't need to dominate every conversation. They don't need everyone to acknowledge them. They know exactly what they can do, and because of that, they have the discipline to stay humble. That actually matters a lot more than many of us give the proper credit to. Because when you walk into a new environment, acting like the most alpha person in the room, the other people stop listening, and they stop wanting to learn who you are. But humility disarms their assumptions. It makes people be interested in you. It makes them realize maybe you're not what they expected. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to hide who you are. You don't have to pretend you haven't done hard things. You just don't need to lead with it. If you want to survive the landing when your service ends, you have to change the game before you take the uniform off. You need to understand how to change the narrative of their expectations. They're anticipating you to lead with your ego. You need to bring something they won't see coming. So stick around for more about this. But first, a quick break to acknowledge a sponsor of the podcast. As a first responder, control isn't optional. It's how you do your job. But when it comes to buying or refinancing a home, most lenders don't get your world. Police Mortgage does. They specialize in working with first responders, walking you through the process, breaking down your options, and helping you lock in competitive rates without the runaround. Take control of your financial future with people who have your back. Visit policemortgage.com or call 312-499-8878. Police Mortgage, for first responders who are second to none. For many of us, it's easy to forget or not recognize that the civilian world operates on different frequencies. Right now, you know how to effectively read your environment. You can likely come onto any situation and recognize who has the authority, who's reliable, and who's just making noise. You do this because your safety and the safety of your team depends on it. But when you start looking at the civilian world, the signals change. If you want to successfully navigate your transition, you have to stop looking at the civilian workplaces as a step down and start looking at them as a foreign territory that you need to learn. You have to become an expert on their culture. This is where the mechanics of the transition process actually happen. It's more than properly formatting your resume or practicing the standard interview questions. It's about understanding the signals in their environment. When you're sitting with a hiring manager or you're on an interview panel, they're looking for specific indicators that tell them you can adapt, you can fit into their team and solve their problems without causing a massive cultural disruption. The biggest signal they'll look for is psychological flexibility. They want to see if you have the self-confidence to listen before you speak. When they ask you about your leadership experience, they're testing you. They want to see if you're going to talk about yourself, your rank, and how you controlled everyone. Or if you're going to talk about how you took care of your people and helped them and the mission succeed. Think about your current role. Your position gives you a certain amount of automatic authority. People listen because of your rank or simply because of the uniform. When you transition, that automatic authority vanishes. And if you try to cling to it, your ego is going to take over. Tactical humility means you know exactly what you're capable of, but you don't feel the need to broadcast it out loud. It's the ultimate form of quiet confidence. When you go into an interview or get on a networking call, you need to show them that you're ready to learn their language. Show them that you respect their world enough to study it. The civilian environment is different. You can recognize and acknowledge it, or you can fight it. But if you want to be shown their signals, you have to show them that you're a student of their game. But if you choose not to, and you go at it in your own way, you'll miss the subtle cues, the unwritten rules, and the actual influences within those companies. When you talk with a recruiter or a company representative, ask them about their dynamics. Ask them, what's the biggest cultural hurdle for new people coming into their company? Show them that you're actively learning their environment instead of assuming you already have all the answers. However, this requires a shift in how you view yourself. It means accepting the fact that you're going to be the beginner again. And I get it. It can feel like a loss of identity, like you're stripping away everything that makes you valuable. But humility is not about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less. It's about clearing out the noise of your past so you can clearly see the reality of your new environment. When you approach your transition with that level of clarity, you stop trying to force your way into the room. Instead, you analyze the environment, figure out what their team actually needs, and position yourself as the exact solution to their problem. Let your performance do the talking. And remember, you're unemployable without your ego in check. So let that sink in for a second. Remember, if a hiring manager can't see that you have detached your ego from your past, they can easily view you as a liability. They'll likely pass on your application and move on to someone else, no matter how stacked your resume is, because they might see you as a bigger gamble than a benefit to bringing you into their company. If you don't learn how to broadcast humility, you'll more than likely remain incompatible with the civilian workforce. You'll be locked out of career options because you're sending the wrong signals. As veterans and first responders, without being able to signal your humbleness and your adaptability to the civilian world, you're functionally unemployable in a collaborative organization. Look at the risk to you. When you stay inside your cocoon of your past, you create a massive blind spot. You assume that because of your experience, people should automatically trust your judgment. But in the civilian world, trust is built through quiet competence, active listening, and proven reliability. If you're expecting people to bow to your experience, you'll alienate the very people who will be there to help you learn the ropes. This is where the discipline of self-command comes into play. We all deal with the danger of letting external praise distort our internal reality. For you, the uniform is just a job. You do it. It's a highly specialized and demanding job, but it's not who you are. If you treat the uniform as your entire identity, then losing it can feel like a death sentence. And you'll fight tooth and nail to protect that identity, and that defensiveness can manifest as excessive ego. The leverage is recognizing that your past achievements, they're capital. You can use them to market yourself, not as a shield. You don't use your past to defend yourself against the discomfort of being new. You use your past as proof that you know how to remain calm, disciplined, and focused when things are difficult. True strength doesn't need to assert itself. The most effective operators are rarely the loudest ones in the room. They're the ones who sit quietly, observe everything, and then execute when necessary. That's the exact persona you must cultivate for your transition. When you show humility, you're telling a civilian employer that as a baseline, you're secure enough in your own skin that you don't need your hand held, but you also don't think you're above the entry-level realities of their industry. You're showing them that you can take all your discipline and resilience and channel it into learning their business from the ground up. But if you refuse to send that signal, you're choosing to stay in a holding pattern. You'll find yourself trapped in a loop of frustration, wondering why civilian companies don't seem to value you. Then you'll likely blame the recruiters. You'll blame their system, and you'll probably get bitter. On the other hand, the fault will more than likely fall squarely with your refusal to adapt. You have to be willing to lay down the armor of your past so that you can build a new foundation based on current performance. That's how you control the narrative. And that's how you force them to realize that their assumptions about you are completely wrong. So, no matter where you fall in your career timeline, the goal isn't to just leave the job. It's to make sure you're mentally and emotionally and professionally ready for what comes after it. That takes intentional preparation. And that's exactly why I put together a weekly newsletter with additional resources, perspectives, and practical ways to help you start thinking differently about your transition. If you want to check it out, there's a link in the show notes. I hope you'll go sign up. All right, we'll take one last break, and then when we come back, we'll close out this episode. When it comes to sunglasses, first responders and military members definitely don't baby them. They get dropped, thrown in a utility pocket, or tossed in gear bags. Frontline Optics was created for that reality. You get premium eye protection without paying designer brand prices for something that won't survive your lifestyle. From polarized UV 400 lenses to anti-reflective coatings and water-repellent finish. And here's where Frontline Optics separates themselves from the pack. When life happens and your glasses break, they offer a no-questions-asked replacement program, even for prescription lenses. On top of that, Frontline Optics was founded by a firefighter, and a portion of every purchase goes to support the First Responders Children's Foundation, helping families of those who gave everything. So if you're looking for sunglasses that look good and come from a company that actually understands the job, visit frontlineoptics.com and use the promo code TRANSITION10 to get 10% off your purchase. Frontline Optics, from a first responder for the front lines. Right now, you need to shift your objective from proving your past to preparing your mind for the next environment. The civilian world is waiting to see if you match the image they have in their heads. They're anticipating someone who's rigid, defensive, and wrapped in that ego of your past. Your mission is to shatter that expectation through quiet competence. Stop viewing the end of your service as a loss of power and start viewing it as the ultimate test of your ability. The confidence you've built is locked in. Nobody can strip that away from you, especially when you hang the uniform up. And because that foundation is permanent, you don't need to use it as an emotional shield. You can afford to be the most humble listener in the room. When you engage with the civilian world, change the way you project yourself. Drop the titles. Drop the need to control the room. And stop trying to force people to acknowledge what you've done. On the other hand, ask intelligent questions, study their landscape, and show them a level of disciplined focus and quiet self-confidence that they rarely see. Let them expect the loud, entitled veteran or first responder, but give them the calm, squared-away student instead. Let your work ethic, your accountability, and your actions do all the talking for you. You've already proven you can master this high-stakes world. You can absolutely master your next one, but you have to be willing to learn the new rules of engagement from the bottom up. Your transition is coming. The layout of the new battlefield is clear. Shove down your ego, lead with humility, and go achieve your success. Thanks for staying until the end. Your staying helps the engagement ratings. If you're noticing the new format, let me know if you're liking it. or if you'd rather I go back to the old format. Again, as always, please share the podcast with anyone who you think will enjoy it or benefit from it. And if you're not already, please follow the podcast wherever you're getting this episode. As always, stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.